Well, Chris, we have, main event set for Clash in Paris, but you're shaking your head. Another Raw main
Oh,
event with a
yeah,
run
another
in.
Raw interview. That's right. I
I
knew it.
mean, maybe people don't care, but you know what? They should.
Mhm.
And if people don't care, and WWE has talked themselves into that, that actually is a symptom of a pretty big problem, which is
Yeah,
people watch wrestling to see ring entrances and moves, but they do not take seriously that outcomes matter, and they don't watch in order to see an actual finish.
yeah,
So whatever their rationalization is, I'm not buying it because it's one of two bad things. Either they're disappointing fans over and over and over again with their main event matches, which is going to hurt attendance and at home hurt viewership and cause people to just kind of shrug their shoulders when they hear what the main event is
yeah.
and look at it through a different light, which is this won't solve anything, but it'll lead to an angle, but a run in or a DQ. Or people don't care, in which WWE has probably a bigger problem, which is people are completely disengaged from caring about finishes. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to lead with that again today.
Right.
But it happened. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And this is a pattern that was part of WCW when they were going downhill too. They did a lot more bad than WWE's doing right now. Paul
Yeah.
Levesque is a superior booker to whatever was going on in WCW in those final years. But this is not great. Your thoughts?
No, it's not. Uh, Particularly one, they didn't need it. There wasn't a need to have a DQ finish to salvage anybody or protect anybody. They could have found a way to have a satisfying match and still have the beatdowns happen and have the exact same story beats come about while not having the booking be so formulaic that anybody can predict what's about to happen.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. It's the formulaic
Mhm.
predictability. Again, unpredictability is good with a bunch of caveats. You don't want to do
Right.
surprises for the sake of surprises. There's the most effective surprises and unpredictability comes after building up a reserve of
Mhm.
logical booking with delayed gratification and having an investment in something that is consistent, so that when something unpredictable happens, it feels surprising as opposed to
Yeah.
gimmicky. Like when at the end of WCW, Russo booked like 3 heel turns in 3 weeks, whatever
Right.
that was. Just like so. You have to think about the nuance and all the kind of qualifications that should go in front of the truism of wrestling fans like unpredictability. Well, eventually, they like championship matches too. But if you give them
Hmm.
nine championship matches out of 10 on a card, all of a sudden the titles don't seem to mean much. So
Right.
context means everything. Uh, that said, point made. I don't need to belabor that point.
Mhm.
I mean, points made, and we made it before, and I think it's a wrong decision, and I think it'll catch up to them and it'll cost them. Um, and you're right, they didn't need it tonight. All that said, what do you think of the theme throughout the show? We had CM Punk and LA Knight argue, getting into it, and I thought it was a good segment. It addressed what needed to be addressed. Both had a point of view. Knight said, "You screwed me out of my chance to beat Seth." Punk's like, "You should be thanking me. I saved you from getting
Right.
your head cracked open like a coconut." I think both have a case. Knight, I would have rather. Knight, it would have been nice maybe for Knight to say, you know what, leave that to me. I think I could have moved out of the way. I knew it was coming for me. Or something to kind of make his
Yeah.
case more. And so it's like, yeah, or and then Punk can say, yeah, you tell yourself that. But you know what, I wasn't going to take any chances. Whatever. But I thought it checked
Right.
enough boxes for me. And then they went back and forth, got into it, and then it led to the announcement of the main event, which unfortunately, didn't have a finish. Did I say I wasn't going to
Right.
talk about that
Right.
anymore? But then we had the angle afterwards. Fans chanting OTC. They didn't get them.
Yeah.
But they did get an announcement after a big brawl with everybody else of a fatal four-way at Clash in Paris. So your thoughts on the Punk Knight dynamic? Did you like that opening segment? And then what do you think of a fatal four-way at Clash in Paris with Jey Uso, LA Knight, and CM Punk? If I didn't make that clear, as Seth's 3 challengers.
Opening segment, while it had its bumps where it felt like they were either stepping on each other's toes or didn't quite know how to dance early on, right? It finally got to the point, though, where it felt like these were two people with legitimate beefs and legitimate claim, trying to out argue one another, and in the sort of classic machismo, hey, get back to the line bit. I liked it. I'm agreeing with you. It worked in the sense that communicated everything we needed. It also made sense. We knew we could expect that's what we're going to get. I thought we were going to get a triple threat, right? That seems to be the theme lately. So having the Fatal 4-Way with Jay's inclusion felt a bit of a surprise to me, since he hadn't really been in the mix, other than like himself articulating, I got to get my challenge back, So that felt left fieldish to me slightly.
Let's throw a chat comment in here too. Tilt says, to be fair, they expect us to just believe that LA Knight was okay with Punk costing him his match last week, and it was just overt or something. This writing in place, this is a dumpster fire. But I mean, Knight wasn't okay. He did address it. I mean, he explicitly, kind of said he wasn't gonna, I don't know what word, I can't remember what wording he used, but he's not gonna dwell on it. But he said, don't do it again. So yeah, I will defend. I'll defend that aspect of it, and I think that they covered it well. He says, you get me disqualified. You cost me my opportunity. I understand it, but wrong place, wrong time. But we don't have a problem. Let's keep it that way. So I think he stood up for himself sufficiently, and I think it's interesting to see that Knight's in a good spot right now. I mean, I don't know that you want to lean on him as your centerpiece world champion, babyface or a heel at some point. And I don't think you want him in one-on-one world title matches on major PLEs very often, but he's over. He's, the charisma on the mic is good. There's a little stumble here and there. It looked a little bit like a train off the rails when he was going for his wrecking ball kick late in the match. But that's, in a way, it's part of his charm, as long as he's not hurting himself or anybody else. That every once in a while, it sort of seems like, a kid running down a hill, and all of a sudden he's like, my arms are flailing. I'm trying to regain.
It's endearing. Yeah.
It's sort of like I try to spin/frame the Charlotte Alexa acting as sort of charming when it's bad acting, because there is an endearing aspect to some of it for me, where it would be a big negative for other situations. I'm not saying it's a net it's a positive that their acting is bad, but I think the dynamic is a net positive. And with Knight, I think everything going on with him is as on the higher end of success, except for the people who thought he's an ex Stone Cold and he should be the centerpiece guy right now. But he's not. So yeah, I think it's cool for a Knight at age 40 with all the years he put in, that he's being leaned on in this spot. A part of it is maybe they feel they don't have a ton of other options at this time. But the thing is he's standing in the ring with CM Punk and he looks like he belongs out there. And I think that's a compliment to him.
Yeah, absolutely. In the ring with CM Punk. I actually thought he was better on the mic than CM Punk tonight. Although chatter online seems to suggest I'm in the minority, but I thought he stood toe to toe with him. Physically that bit, the train wreck, as you said. But there is something
a train off the rails. It's different than a train wreck.
Off the rails. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about just the way he carries himself that makes you want to love him. Right, like he seems to operate with a code of ethics that, while he doesn't really articulate it, like he doesn't get in the ring and spell out his values, he seems to embody them fairly consistently, and one of them seems to be honor, right, buried deep down. So what I found most interesting tonight was he had the traditional babyface position to me of leaning back on his virtue. Hey, I'm gonna let your infraction slide because I am the better man. And Punk doubled down on the insult, right? He even, if you remember, grabbed his lapels and kind of sheepishly said something about the LA Knight of it all. And LA Knight mouthed, hey, let's not go there. And I was like, that was an interesting dynamic. So I appreciated that tonight, actually. It was either subtle or unintentional, but it was great.
But one small thing is, I think, and there's a history, though, to be doing this on purpose to mess with people. But I think Heyman's mic was not on when he interrupted, and it actually came on in like the middle of his first word, which is also kind of weird. But Punk, at the end of his exchange with the Knight, was filling time with unscripted material, as I saw it. Grabbed his lapels, and you're talking about this, but to me, it seemed like Punk did not want to sell the idea that the interruption didn't come yet. But he was cut. But the interruption didn't come on time. Now, usually in history, that's done to test someone, mess with someone, humble someone, see how they can do. Sometimes it's somebody who's younger, and or newer, I guess I should say. Everyone's younger than Punk, except for like Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
No, but sort of true. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
47.
yeah. I mean, there's not many active anymore now that Dustin Rhodes is out of action and Jericho's, I don't know what he's doing. Anyway,
Yeah.
but belaboring my cheap shot joke. And so but yeah, he said, again, before the Heyman interruption, he said he's done and is the best. I'm sorry. Punk said he doesn't want a problem with Knight. He said he's the best in the world. And it didn't look like he was. Normally he's very confident and sure-footed on his program. You could tell he's kind of like, his mind was in a couple places, kind of like mine was trying to look at my notes here. And so he's trying to fill in time and cover for this time without selling it and also not knowing how long it's going to last. And he did fine, but it jumped out to me. I mean, especially because when Heyman started talking, his first word was not fully heard. So my hunch is the mic just had a problem and Punk had to fill. Someone didn't turn the mic on. In all my talk about WWE historically doing this on purpose to people, I think this probably was just a technical error. That'd be my hunch, because I don't think they would do that to Punk at this stage. I mean, why trigger him unless there's something going on I haven't heard of? But nevertheless, I thought he handled it well, but it went like that second long. It went a second long enough for me to go, something's up here. But it also, kind of in a weird way, kind of your observation is, it felt sort of authentic and like a moment, which so it can kind of work out as a positive.
And that's how I felt was, hey, Punk was picking up on maybe a self-perception of LA Knight, that he's been given this character and he's made the best of it, right? But he's got cheap gold straps on like a cheap leather vest. Like there's only so far you can take that, but he's taken it places. So Punk touching it felt like hey, like let me just point something out here, and that authenticity of let's not go there felt like, come on, man, like thought we were having fun. That was the energy, right?
Interesting. Yeah. All right, well, let's pause and introduce the show and ourselves quick, and then we'll get to some more comments in the chat room on CM Punk LA Knight, and then we'll get into Bayley, some interesting takes on the vignette that aired with her, and more. This is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling post show for Monday, August 11th, 2025. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, editor, publisher, and founder of the Pro Wrestling Torch weekly newsletter and the website PWTorch.com. And I cover with live shows on our YouTube channel. Just search PWTorch or YouTube. Search PWTorch or Wade Keller on YouTube. And you'll find our shows. They're scheduled every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Within a few minutes after Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown go off the air, the shows are then distributed as an audio-only show on our long-running podcast feed. We've been doing post shows for more than, I don't know if we've been doing them for 10 years. Yeah, well, we're doing them for a long time. We've been doing free podcasts for over 15 years and podcasting in general for over 20 years. We started off making them VIP exclusive, but you can subscribe to those if you're discovering us on YouTube. Search Wade Keller on your podcast app, and you'll see a red and blue logo show up. Just subscribe to both, and you'll get all of our content. Tomorrow, by the way, Zach Haydorn will be my co-host on the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling podcast, our blue logo show, the flagship edition. And we'll be covering a lot, including the new TV deals for TKO, both WWE and UFC, announcing deals in recent days. I want to talk to Zach about Hulk Hogan also, and whatever, usual stuff in the flagship. You are invited to email us topic suggestions, rants, opinions, questions, wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. That, by the way, our flagship is audio only, podcast feed only. So search Wade Keller in your podcast app if you're not subscribing to that yet, and subscribe. Also, search PW Torch in your podcast app, and you can subscribe to our free PW Torch Daily Cast, which has a free show every day of the week with different hosts, with different themes. And you'll also, when you search PW Torch, this is important today, when you see the PW Torch VIP charcoal gray logo pop up, subscribe to that also, and you can get our first installment, a first part of a nearly 3-hour conversation that I had with Guy Evans today about Hulk Hogan. Guy Evans is the author of Nitro, and also 570 pages roughly of content, and he also came out with a book called Beyond Nitro this year. Todd Martin reviewed that on a recent episode of the VIP podcast, The Fix, with me, and we talked almost entirely successfully, exclusively about Nitro, the Nitro years involving Hulk Hogan. With I think like 2 small sidebars for a couple minutes. So there's so much to cover in the Nitro era, and he wrote the definitive book on it that talked to a ton of people, dozens of original interviews. And I'm probably understating dozens and dozens and dozens of original interviews, uncovered new information. If you're interested in that era, it's worth getting the book. You can find it at bookshop.org. I know people plug other places to get books, but they donate money to, or they give proceeds to local bookstores. In fact, they've raised $40 million for local bookstores for people buying through them instead of the behemoth that normally gets mentioned. So you can find that book there, but of course you can find it in other places too, and audio versions of it. So we talked for about 3 hours earlier today about Hulk Hogan.
That's cool.
I'm wired about it. It's really a really fun interview. I reread the Nitro book mostly yesterday, and it was like 6 hours of rereading a book that I had referenced but not read since it first came out, and it's a really good discussion. It's part 10 of our Hulk Hogan series, of the Wade Keller Hotline series on Hulk Hogan. We've done shows dedicated to his AWA years, 2-3 years of Hulkamania sprouting up before he went to the WWF. 2 parts was with Kelly Wells, by the way, and then George Shire. That was with George Shire. And then with Kelly Wells, we talked about the memorabilia and merchandising part of Hogan's career. Kelly, that's his specialty, and he says it was one of his favorite podcasts he's ever done. That's up there.
That's cool.
I also did an audio Ask the Editor on Hulk Hogan topics that VIP members sent in, and more. So anyway, that series, we've created a dedicated RSS feed for our VIP members. So if you aren't a VIP member and you want to sign up, you can catch up on those shows easily now because we have a specialized feed, and we just put it up tonight, so I don't have the information in our posts on the podcast, but we'll be adding it, today or tomorrow. So if you go VIP, you can catch up on the first 10 parts. Part 10 is part 1 of the Guy Evans conversation, the Nitro book author. So we have 2 more installments coming this week, each roughly an hour long, marching through the entire run of Hulk Hogan in the lead up to Nitro all the way through the end of WCW. So pwtorch.com/govip is the place to go. You're missing out on a lot of good stuff if you're not a VIP member. I could go on and on about all the benefits, but you can go to that website and find out the details. But we are here to talk tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw, and we're excited to have the usual vibrant and well-behaved, friendly chat room. Just a great community of regulars and new people showing up also. Welcome to the new people in the chat. You're invited to contribute your thoughts in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that and post some of the comments. And of course, for the majority of our people who are listening on the podcast side, I'll always read the quotes out loud before we discuss them. But you're also invited to call us if you want to be a video or audio only caller. The link to that is in my VIP report, PWTorch, on the PWTorch VIP website. There's always a link to be a video caller. You can most often find it also on our Patreon page. Every once in a while I forget or don't save it properly, but that also includes a link. So you can be an audio caller. And then finally, you can email us. For some people, that's easier, especially if you don't watch us live. WadeKellerPodcast@gmail.com. That's also where you should send your questions for the flagship that I'll be recording with Zach Hadorn tomorrow. Okay, I think that covers most of the business other than introducing my co-host for tonight, and that is Chris Adams, PWTorch contributor. Chris, great to have you back in the co-host chair. Glad you could join me tonight.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm always glad to be here. It's a rare Monday, although I've had a couple more lately, so it's been really fun. It's a different perspective, different set of wrestlers for us to talk about.
For the most part.
So, yeah, for the most part. That's right. Yeah. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me as always.
We'll talk in a bit more about your contributions and how people can read and listen more to you. But the Hogan plug went long enough. I want to get back to back to analysis of the show. So we've had some comments in the chat on CM Punk and how he is coming across. There is a quote from Mark Pescetti who says, Punk is a shell of himself. He is declining fast in the ring. What do you think when you hear that? Do you kind of go, yeah, I mean, he's declining, but he's still really good, but he's 47, of course, or does it jump out to you as sort of like an issue of concern as you watch him work? Now, this is the tag match where he's mostly reaching for a hot tag.
Right. I thought For somebody who was spending a lot of time reaching for a hot tag, he did look quite gassed early to me. I, I I didn't think his hair or his attire actually contributed to a positive presentation of him tonight. So I kind of get where tonight he felt off to
Mm-hmm.
me in presentation and in performance. Um, I, I was kind of taken by the fact that he was wearing his tank top for nearly the whole
Yeah.
match, and and then
Now
had the
the
moment.
heels attack them before the bell, and that was the
Yeah,
excuse at the beginning. And I'm like, did he just forget after that? Like, is his mind
right.
somewhere like that? So just for context, like the story at the beginning was we didn't have time to take him off, and then the ref did the whole stupid AW thing where you reward the heels for the pre-match attack by ringing the
Right.
bell and not separating them first, which I harp on AW for doing, and now WWE's doing it more often, and it just. But yeah, I just want for clarity, like there was a reason he had at the beginning, but not deep into the match.
Yeah. And for someone who's notorious for, as the story goes, given Kevin Steen such shit right on the indies for it, it stuck out to me as somebody who perhaps was less in his comfort zone than normal. And I say that as somebody who can identify with being in my comfort zone sometimes. So yeah, I picked up on some of it. Although there were a couple things like the knee strikes on Braun Breaker, I thought looked really precise, but I wasn't sure if that was Braun Breaker's sort of natural talent and ability, or Punk being great with those tonight in particular.
I thought Punk looked gassed and winded in the Gunther match. Still had a good match, but it was Gunther, carrying the storyline the match was built around. So I don't know if there's something going on with Punk with his cardio or what. I thought tonight on the microphone he was, and last week he was good. 2 weeks ago it was like, what, people like, wait, does he even care about this? And I thought tonight it was a good promo, in terms of before Night Interrupted, addressing what happened and, talking the way CM Punk fans want CM Punk to talk, with bravado, and self-assurance and high aspirations. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Shell of his former self, I think, is overstating it. For as Malone says, Punk's death seems old now. I'm surprised Braun Breaker yelled, "You're 47. Am I supposed to be scared of you? And you're 40. I can kick your ass." To Punk. I mean, he's speaking the truth, and like
Sure.
Punk is proud to say, "Stop me when I'm telling a lie." I mean, Punk can't complain, right? I mean, he can be a hypocrite, but he would be a hypocrite to complain if someone is speaking truth to him. But the facts are not something that I would hang a lantern on, as Robert Kennedy once said. Hang a lantern on your problems. Don't let other people call them out for you. Well, if I'm WWE, I don't hang a lantern on the age of CM Punk right now. I've been consistent about that. Like with Sting, I didn't think TNA should be talking about it. When WWE started talking about Cena's age, I was like, this is weird. Like, if somebody doesn't look old, their gimmick isn't that they're retired and coming back, or there's times to tell that story. Maybe with AJ Styles, it's time. They feel like we want age to be an issue with him because he's against young punks who are talking down to him. And obviously that's the approach with Breaker, unless he just improvised. But my inclination is don't do that. How do you feel about drawing attention to somebody's age when, despite what's going on in the chat here in our comments, I think Punk is mega over, and fans still see him as a physical threat. He doesn't look diminished physically to me compared to his peak. I mean, I think he's got more muscles than on average he had in his career. He's had more, he's had less, but I think he's above average in terms of just looking like he's hitting the gym and staying toned and bulking up a little bit.
The age thing I too found strange, because if that was an angle that they wanted Braun Breaker to go for, right, to point out the age as a negative, as a net negative across the board. Well, those are those real ages. So what you're doing is you're playing into a very widely culturally accepted story that age is problematic.
Mm-hmm.
That's the culture story, and especially in sports and athletics. Well, by reinforcing that CM Punk is 47, you're just going to be reminding the audience that he's old, which is not what you want to be doing with your marquee star or one of them. Yeah. Because they know good and well that being old is a problem in the culture. So I think it's you know, a catch-22 kind of thing. It's a way to build up instant pop heat. Yeah, he's making fun of the old man. I'm the young new thing.
Yeah.
But the reverse is it tears down the other star in a way that doesn't actually help the story.
And I do wonder what they have to gain from it. Like, what is what's the strategy? Do they think their audience will be upset with Breakker making an issue of it because ageism is out there and they think their audience will relate to it? Or is it, well, whatever, it's just something Breakker would say, we're going to say it, we'll live with, some of the consequences. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a throwaway line, but it just feels like you're paying him a lot of money. I don't know that I draw attention to the idea that he's approaching 50, because for a guy who's talking about being the best in the world and wanting to be world champion again,
right?
I don't think you want the counter argument to be you're so far beyond your peak years. You're not the best in the world anymore. You might have been at one point, but nobody at that age is athletically the best they've ever been. You can be LeBron James and Tom Brady and take incredible care of yourself, but you are a great tennis player. You're just not going to be at your peak anymore. I wouldn't draw. It's not that people don't know it. I just wouldn't draw attention to it on the air. I don't think it has to be part of the narrative.
Yeah, and Punk's image still is the image of youth. I mean, I don't know if too many people are picking up on this new T-shirt that he's wearing is a reference to the cover to the Bad Brains album, the original Bad Brains album from like 1987 by this DC punk band. They're amazing. So he's still cultivating the image of vitality, youth, rebellion, but he's 47 buying $1,000 sneakers. That's not the image that you want to be cultivating on your screen. So I do think it's a problem for them and will be a problem for perception and how people see him, especially if the beast who shall not be named, or maybe can we name him, is roughly the same age and in infinitely better shape. So I think the contrast will be stark.
Yeah. All right. Darrell says on this, I don't mind saying something about the age because that makes me think of how these young people today talk to people. Even when you're 29 or 30, they think you're old and can't hang, which can be kids' flaws. Chris J in the chat says Ric Flair's torn down for his age in the dying days of WCW. WCW was lost by then, but it did not help a fan favorite. Danny Tachito says, whenever anyone brings up Punk looking gassed, I think you have to account for the fact that Brett, his Favo wrestler, repeatedly talks about how he looked gassed on purpose as a storytelling device. Sure. Yeah. I mean, he was trying to look exhausted. The observation, I think, is he looked genuinely exhausted earlier than you would typically sell it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the story, the match looked, and this is just me, this is a wrestler I text back and forth with too on this, just said, it looked like the match was designed to protect Punk from to put him in a position where he's mostly on the mat selling mat holds. Now, my thinking is I think a lot of Gunther matches look that way. I think I'm a little less high in Gunther right now. I don't look forward to his matches as much. They're good. Like it's old style. I enjoy them, but I'm not as high on them because he does kind of just go in second gear for a long stretch of time with this kind of methodical beatdown.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see him switch it up a little bit more. So, but it could be a combination of both things. It's a long match. They're trying to sell the idea that Punk is really going to be beat down, so he's more susceptible to Seth afterwards. And it's also kind of Gunther's style. Adam Kidd says, I'm older than Punk. It makes me feel bad. I don't feel bad. Everybody wants to live. Everyone wants to live a long time, but then nobody wants to be old. It's like being old is a success story, especially if you're feeling good and you're healthy and you took care of yourself. That's what you're aiming to do. Don't begrudge, surviving, and hopefully you can begrudge other things in your life, but aging is just part of it, and it is a sign of success and lasting. Yeah. So Sean Plitch in the chat says, yeah, Punk's doing fine, even though he's not as great as he was, and that's fine. And that's kind of where I am. I mean, I'm engaging in the chat because it came up and it's been a topic out of the Gunther match. And I've engaged in it. I mean, I'm not like just sitting here going, I didn't bring some of the stuff up, but I do think he's fine. I mean, I didn't think the pop for his music tonight was great, but then he got to the ring and it was like, whoa, this guy's mega over. So I'm not worried about him, but I think they need to be cognizant if they're going to bring up his age to make sure they put him in situations to look strong, often enough where it doesn't feel like he's one of the veterans who we complained about decades ago who are taking a top spot from younger guys and he can't still go. Yeah. Adam Kidd adds fighting words. Punk was never great in the ring, in my opinion. Sean says, yeah, I still love Gunther, but I wish his matches would not always be the same like Brock. Goodfellow 1422 says, give Gunther an opponent who can keep up. Yeah, that would that'd be good. Although,
awesome.
So anything else to add on that, Chris?
No, I mean, they could tell a story with CM Punk, particularly because he's got the ruggedness of his character and the willingness to kind of play out the saltier aspects of who he is, of an almost Logan-esque ride off into the sunset, right? Of when he gets to the point of leaning into the grizzledness of going out strong, right? I feel like we saw some of that in AEW Punk, actually, with the more maniacal beard, the longer hair, the sort of more frayed one. I think there's something that could be said if that's the story you're going to be telling with someone's age. You need to make the age, if you're going to bring it up, seem also like a positive. Otherwise, all you've done is reminded people of why one of their central players is supremely flawed. Right? And that's not what you want. And I don't think that's what they want.
Yep. All right, let's bring CJ onto the show because Bayley made news tonight with a vignette. Bayley is sad, introspective, trying to figure out what has gone wrong. She said in a I would argue overly produced vignette that I mean, I thought her performance was strong. I can live with music in the background, not enjoying the sort of supernatural, where it's clearly you're adding special effects to convey something in post-production instead of letting the performer tell the story. You've now plastered on something that clearly is special effects, and I think that's corny and it's cinematic, but I don't think narrative structure wise it is worth the trade-off of things just looking really fake. How did you feel about that, Chris, before we bring CJ on? Then
in comparison to a Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes vignette I once called transcendent, this was to me the opposite, because it did exactly what that one did not. By adding the weird ripple effect and the overlaid clown laughter, it reduced the power of what I thought was up to that point a pretty compelling, like, I'm dark, I'm going in a dark spot, I'm pretty broken, I don't know what this means anymore. And then to turn it into something that felt, like you said, overly produced, supernatural, felt hokey.
Well, and the question is, do they want it to be supernatural? Like Ryan Solario in the chat goes, I didn't see the supernatural part of Bayley's promo. The problem is, I think people watched that and said, oh, there's something supernatural going on, because they not only had music, music, just dramatic music, but they, the screen kind of flickered, or I don't know what the technical
the
TV
room
term
kind
is.
of rippled.
Rippled. Yep. And it felt like you're watching a movie, and it's they, as I wrote in my report at PWTorchVIP.com, people can get my running commentary on the show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I said it came across like WWE just can't help themselves. Like, if there's a button to push for a special, we push it. If there's if there's an additional camera angle we can use, we'll use it, even if it exposes that everything was post-produced. Like, you want believability. Mark Piscetti in the chat says, Bayley's segment was well produced, but I don't buy her whole role model shtick. It's embarrassing for her to call herself a role model. It's like me calling myself a hero. Well, Bret Hart built a whole career on that. If she's turning heel, maybe. Al Archer says, good stuff from Bayley tonight. I want to calm CJ down before we go to him with some kind words for Bayley. And I thought there was another cut. Well, anyway, we'll bring CJ on and talk about what Bayley's message was. CJ, a big Bayley fan. You got to meet her a few weeks ago. Yeah. Good to see you and talk to you again. Good to see a smile on your face. What did you think? I've been telling you.
To see both you and Chris.
I told you, have patience. They've got something in mind for Bayley. This is not a burial.
I'm
You
trying.
gotta be patient. You don't have to love it, but clearly she got some TV time tonight to develop her character. So what's your review of it?
First, it kind of just made me sad seeing her sad like that. But yeah, she's getting TV time. There's something coming good. I'm feeling it, but it's like they're kind of drawing this out. But yeah, I also understand I'm being a little impatient, but it's just it gotta be good after they took both WrestleMania and SummerSlam away from her. Am I talking too loud? I hope I'm not.
That's a little loud, but I turn the volume down on my headset if that's a clue when you start talking. I just think you have a better, more direct microphone than us, so I don't. But you can talk softer for everybody's sake. I think in post production it levels out. So,
all right. So, yeah, I like the feeling of it. What did you think about the ding dong end of it? It did the ding dong hello thing at the end of the promo, or was that beginning?
I don't remember ding dong.
Yeah,
I just remember
faded out. It's something like that.
Well, I mean, my criticism of it is whatever. I'd have to rewatch if it was a ding dong thing, but I just thought it came across as there's somebody telling a story, and now they're adding a bunch of distracting special effects that take me away from what I thought was a good performance from her, which felt self-reflective, introspective, talking about how she wanted to be a role model. She was even before that was her nickname. She likes to be a locker room leader, but she's not proud of anything that happened the last year. She has nothing to show for it. It just looks like somebody who's going through, a process to try to figure out what isn't going right for her. And that's the story that they've been built. This moment tonight is what I've been telling you, CJ. They've been building up to her with her. She's losing and showing distress over something that's going to build up into a turning point for her.
I totally agree. And I do kind of agree that it was a little much, but again, I see good things coming. So do you think she's going to turn on Lyra? What did you take about the Lyra promo right after it? Lyra saying how Bayley feels it's not my fault or we should be separate. What did you take about that?
Yeah, what'd you think, Chris?
Well, I thought there were a couple clues in Lyra's presentation. First, the red eyeliner and the interesting sort of like stripping black top that felt uncharacteristic to her presentation. So I'm not entirely sure if I think Bayley's turning heel or if they will just be finding some way to make her an actually interesting character in this season of her story. I don't know which way I would go, honestly.
And I want to be clear. I'm okay with. I'm okay to a point with music in the background. If somebody shoots a vignette and post production wants to add music, that's one thing. The issue I have is the special effects try to convey something going on in her head, like we're getting a visual representation of a mental breakdown going on in her head. And to me, that's just B horror movie stuff from 50s and 60s, 1950s, 1960s movies. I mean, like it was just too much. Let the wrestler tell the story, add some music if you want, but don't distort the screen in a way that, again, it feels heavy-handed. Like you're telling us something's going on in her head, but why would you put squiggly distortions on the screen to tell us that? I don't know. It's taking liberal creative license with the presentation of pro wrestling that I think it doesn't fit the narrative structure. It feels like everything is planned and manipulative, and I just think you want to stay away from that to have a more immersive environment.
I mean, I've got depression, and every day I wake up with those squiggle marks. So I mean, that felt pretty real. I'm kidding. I do have it, and I appreciate the way they were tying into it. And to Wade's point, I think the way that they played with the messaging at the end detracted from the way it could have been taken as, oh, this is an interesting exploration of someone's pain and anguish. But now here's the world rippling, and what maybe CJ, what you thought was the ding dong, I heard as cackling or a laughter, which really made it seem cartoony to me.
Yeah, there was a screeching sound as she rubbed her chin, and then the screen went blank. And I don't even know how to describe the sound, but it was like, yeah, they're telling us a visual and audio representation of some breakdown going on in her brain, and I didn't need it.
The voices, yeah.
The chat room wants to see Bayley show up with Karrion Kross and Scarlett as some sort of group if they bring Karrion and Scarlett back. Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know if I'd be sold on that, but
yeah, I'm not sold on that either. I don't think that's what they're doing. What else, CJ? Anything else on Bayley?
So for one last question about Bayley, and then I have another thing to say about something else. Not Bayley, surprise. So if you had to guess, how long do you think this is going to draw out?
You always ask for predictions, CJ, and I'm terrible with predictions because I don't spend a lot of time trying to predict what's happening next. I just evaluate the story they're telling. So I just say that up front, that I don't think about one wrestler and go, let me map out let me guess the storyline. It's not my favorite thing to do, and I feel like then I'll be just wrong. I mean, there's so many. I'm sorry for dissing your question, CJ, because I know it's just a way to extend the talk on Bayley a bit, but I literally just think it could last 3 weeks, it could last 3 months, and I mean, it's just whatever their story they're telling, they have something in mind and they're going to pace it, and some of it's going to be affected based on the calendar of events that are coming up. They might rush something if they want to get it on to Clash in Paris. They might stretch it out if they're waiting till a later time. So yeah, there's so many variables. So my short answer, and that's less wordy, is I haven't given a lot of thought, but I think there's a range of 3 weeks to 3 months before we get a real clear resolution of where she's going to land as a character. But I can't hone in any closer on that. I think it's wide open. Chris, am I not reading clues enough or looking at the lay of the land?
I'm with you. I don't know where it goes. I don't see any duration. The only thing that I find curious about Survivor Series is it is near where she's from. Isn't she from San Jose?
Yes.
It's in San Diego, right? So if they're trying to tie something to a big pay-per-view, that would make a kind of geographical, logical sense. But they haven't necessarily been sticking with the hometown hero wins everything lately. So couple months would be my guess.
Yeah. All right, CJ, you had something else not Bayley related?
Yeah, I get that. You just know I'm really just a little anxious about Bayley. But all right, we can move on from Bayley. Something I would like to say, I would have called in last week if I didn't have the Braves, but now that we know that Seth Rollins' injury was a work, I'm happy they didn't use the X during the match, because I think that should always just be used for legit injuries. They've used it for work once or twice years ago, and I think even Bruce Pritchard said he thought that was a mistake. I think it should only be used for legit injuries. And then I just really, what? It sounded like you were going to say something.
Oh, no, I agree. And I actually I don't even think they need the X symbol anymore. Refs are mic'd. All they have to do is, it's like they can just go, send medical. And if someone says in the earpiece, Roger that, you don't need to raise your arms in an X. They're all wired up. So to me, when I see the X, it feels very performative and technologically unnecessary to do at all, unless there's something logistically I'm not accounting for, in which case put the safety of wrestlers first. But my hunch is the ref can have, code red, and the backstage says we're sending medics, and then the ref goes, Roger that. I mean, there's ways just subtly just say that into the little mic, because WWE Unreal is, made it really clear how this stuff happens. So yeah, to me, when I see the X symbol, I just roll my eyes and go, okay, they're trying to work us. And it's sad that was ever used for that reason.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then do you see Punk ending up champion again?
Ooh. I mean,
I'm hoping. I like Seth, but right now I do not need to see him as champion. I'm kind of over it. I need a break from Seth Rollins as champion. Am I alone on feeling that way?
No, you're definitely not alone. I'm not super excited about him in this role, but Chris, I think they see him as a reliable, in his prime. He's game, as announcers describe wrestlers who are about to lose or lost. He's a game main eventer. He'll show up. He'll do the work. He'll give you good matches. He'll give you good promos. but it's a lot of Seth, and there's
Yeah.
always been something missing for making him a true top guy. And you know, they try to give him stories, give him fresh opponents. I don't know if Punk is fresh. You know, the backstage. I mean, there's something kind of grating about his character. But I've always said, he, you know, going back way back, he came across like in real life when he shows up at the, not that we all do this by mail order now for the most part, but you show up at the DMV once a year to renew your license tabs, and the DMV people go, "Oh, it's that guy again." Ugh. Oh
Yeah.
God, him. You know, that's like, he comes across like that's authentically what he is. He's this annoying guy. But now it is cartoonish and kind of over the top in a way that doesn't feel as befitting a Paul Heyman faction. Braun Breaker feels more authentic. Reed feels more authentic. So I don't know. So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah.
So your thoughts on that? And does Punk get an actual full-fledged title reign, or are they trolling him with a 5-minute reign and they'll not get around to it again?
So a quick take on the Seth Rollins of it all. I think if we're talking Batman villains, the current Seth Rollins belongs to the Adam West show. He's cackling, he's one note, colorful, way too cartoony. What we need is a Batman villain from the Nolan films. Calculated, right? Methodical, can be the Joker who had a plan, right? That's what we need. So that's not what we're getting. I think we get a longer title run for Punk. It just seems to me that we get that, given that it was only 5 minutes and 45 seconds. So I think it's inevitable.
Danny Tachita, by the way, in the chat says Punk will be champ again when he beats Seth for a top 2 title one day, not anytime soon. He's got to stay healthy. That could affect things. Yeah, but I mean, if I had to guess, he'll have a full-fledged title reign with multiple defenses. That'd be my guess, but I don't think it's a guarantee. CJ, anything else before we move on? Oh, go ahead.
Last question. Do you see them keeping LA Knight in the mix?
No. I mean, by in the mix in the main event world title scene, no. And I think he'll rotate. He's in a good spot. He can rotate in, rotate out. And I think that you want to have most people rotating in and out of that scene. Otherwise, you end up with the same 4 people facing each other all the time.
True.
And LA Knight's a great example. You got something better than you expected, but you can come up with reasons not to push him as a main eventer, but you don't dwell on those. You focus on the reasons the crowd sees him as a main eventer, and you let him visit that realm for a while. But then, it's like Damian Priest, and then you rotate him down. And you can rotate him back up again if he stays hot or suitable enough for that spot when there's an opening.
Like a modern day Mr. Perfect or something.
Yeah. Cool. CJ, thanks.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
Appreciate it.
Talk to you next time. Thank you.
Awesome. Yep.
Good to see you.
Well, let me just so I don't forget. The chat asked about Naomi not being there.
Oh yeah.
And Tilt actually says he says this is for the chat, but I'll put it up there. What happened with Naomi? Did I miss something? What I heard is she showed up backstage, and then she left. So the people are my understanding is people are speculating. It feels weird to people backstage, like why she was there and left. She didn't it didn't look like she had a physical injury, like she was limping or anything like that. So, but it's obviously a medical or a medical situation or a medical cover story for another situation, a personal emergency, a discipline issue. I mean, the whole array of reasons wrestlers historically have gotten sent home. I don't know. Hopefully it wasn't she was asked to lose and she refused and got fired. Like, that'd be a bummer if that happened. Yeah. And there's no speculation that I've heard that that's the case. I'm saying hopefully it's not that. But also in a way I hope it is, because then it's not a medical issue. So I don't know. But it wasn't a travel issue. She was in Quebec and then left.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that's strange.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, when you're at the building and you don't wrestle, and
you're the champ.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I'm just making stuff up, but it's like maybe she had high blood pressure from a stressful weekend, again, like it's just something that show up where they're like, you know what, it's better you don't wrestle, and they send her home to get tested.
So on that note, okay, last week, and I know you said you don't follow the in commercial break stuff that's non-canonical as it's playing out, right? I don't know if you went back and watched. She had a promo that was during one of those commercial breaks last week, and they cut her off to return back to television, and and she was off screen. And so, like, I've got a VPN so I can watch it live, and so she was tearing the house down off camera, cut off, gone, no mention of her. And I thought that was weird to then have her now be gone. Yeah, it's weird. It feels strange.
Well, I'll keep asking around. Wrestling reporters will be on it.
I've got this question about LA Knight I've got for you, because I think you'll give a really good take on it. Could you take seriously an LA Knight promo or vignette that attempted to do what Bayley's did tonight, minus the supernatural thing, a sit down exposure? What would you do?
But yeah, I think Naomi's capable of it.
No, LA Knight.
I don't know why I switched. I guess I'm still thinking Naomi. My fault. So could LA Knight, because he's come up short on winning the title?
No. An divulgent, vulnerable, introspective promo, right?
I don't know that people. I don't think he's a wrestler, male or female. Right. I think some people want to see that side, and others don't. I don't know that people want to see that. I think Knight's. Right. I think Knight's gimmick is his bravado, his sure-footedness, his self-belief in himself. I think LA Knight has like some of the character traits of like Eric Bischoff when he was winning the Monday Night War. Like, like when he was interviewed on, I talked about this with Guy Evans earlier, the author of Nitro. And he was like, there was an interview he did on, I think a Canadian talk show. And they're like, what do you think of the ratings? And Eric's like, boring. We're beating them 2-1, 3-1. It used to be fun. Now we're kicking their ass so bad it's not fun anymore. Like, he says that, but then when he's losing by 3-1 margins, it's no fun anymore. Right. Like LA Knight just comes across a guy who's going to just be super cocky, super full of himself, and you can nod along and admire it, especially if he's using his energy and powers against annoying people or evil people, or he can turn it the other way and you can boo him. But I don't know that people want to see him be much more human than he is.
And I think that's why he won't be the top guy for any length of time, because nobody can see him that way, which means there's only so far they can go with him.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's bring Sean from Tennessee, Sean Plichta, into the conversation. Sean, welcome. What are you thinking? What's on your mind about Raw tonight?
Well, I was in the chat, and then I was like, you know what? I mean, why not? I'm going to be and wait, I'm going to be going on another vacation next week.
What hellhole are you going to next?
Dang.
He went to Pittsburgh and Cleveland last time. I mean, those aren't vacations.
And Detroit, Wade. You forgot Detroit too.
Yeah, I don't want to. Detroit gets a bad rap. I don't want to.
Adam, I'm not going to diss Adam. I mean, Detroit's fantastic. I love Detroit. I love everything about Detroit. Even their pizza. Their pizza is incredible.
I genuinely don't have an issue with. My deadpan humor came. I don't have a problem with Pittsburgh, or Cleveland. Well, at least one of the two towns. Go ahead, Chuck.
No, I'm just going to. I go to Indiana. My mom and a lot of my family live up there, so I have to love it because it's my family. So even if I didn't like it, I have to say I love it because it's fantastic. My family's there. So I just the show is better tonight than it was last week for sure. But again, in the main event, I'm just so sick of the non-finishes. I'm so sick of it. I don't want to vent too loud, but my feelings on that. I'm tired of it. I just know. Wait, I know we sing the same tune, and it's because for the same reason. They can argue, Paul Levesque can argue all day long, oh, we have all these reasons to put all these guys in matches. We don't need another freaking fatal four-way match between all four of these guys. It just, we don't need it. Stop doing it. What is Jey Uso, what has he done to deserve to be in this match? Just because he started hitting people with chairs, all of a sudden he deserves to be in a title match? I like Jay, but he doesn't deserve to be in this match. They just threw him in because it'll make it more fun to have 4 people in it. And I'm just tired. I'm done. I'm getting done, not done, but I'm getting fed up with that's what they want to do, and that's just it's going to make it a great match to put all these people in it. And I like the opening segment. I liked when Punk and LA were having bravado, but they weren't bickering. It was like fun combo of I think I should be in line, but it was like in a good way where you understood why both had the reasons they did. It made a lot of sense. And then we're going to be in the 4-way and they just start beating each other up. It's like, I don't know. It kind of, that part bothered me because the opening segment was really good. I invested in it. I enjoyed it. But the 4-way, I just threw up my hands after, and I was so frustrated. It talked me off the ledge.
I'm not going to be able to do that. Chris, what do you think?
I can't do it either because we hadn't even talked about that yet, Wade. The moment when they all were getting the camera shots of celebrating that they were having their moment, winning or getting into the 4-way, and you think that they're up there like buds, like, yo, we just won the lotto together, and then they just start beating each other up. Yeah, that made no sense to me. That particular spot did not. Yeah, it was weird.
By the way, the chat says Jay Uso. Can I find it? The chat ran it off the screen here. He won a tag match, I think was their case. Here it is. Ryan Taylor, Jay won the tag match against the Vision at Mania, so that's why he deserves a title shot. Sean, you convinced?
Oh my gosh, no, not at all. I mean, they did not need to win that tag match either. If you're going to make this faction, the Vision, whatever their name is, a big deal, they should have won the tag match. I mean, I just don't give them wins. Like, again, we say it all the time. Be brave, be brave, be brave. Book good finishes. Make it, you can make it make sense in the story. You don't have to have Seth come out. I just don't understand. Have him come out afterwards. I just don't get it. I don't know what their thought process is going into this. I know it's probably a long thought, but I don't know. The writers have something going on back there, but it's weird to me. I don't get it.
Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, all this talk of the long game, right, Sean, like I heard you say it, and they talk about it a lot. It could be the fact that they just long-term plan for bad finishes. You can long-term book poor things by design, right? And I feel like that's what's happening. Like they book these things on purpose, and they book themselves into a corner where they can't make. They have forgotten how to make a one-on-one main event match feel like it's high stakes enough for us to dedicate our time to on a Monday night. It has to overbook itself. Otherwise, it's not as good as it was last week, right? And that's terrible. That's cannibalistic.
Yeah.
By the way, WWE.com is referring to Heyman's and Seth's group as the Vision. Now, I don't know how often they've been doing that, but like someone tonight said Seth and his crew. And I'm just like, well, are they the Vision or not? I'm tired of false alarm, not false alarms, but like, I think they have a name and someone says, oh yeah, that's their name. And it's like, no, they're still spitballing or testing ideas and using a bunch of, but we needed a graphic on the TV screen, and we need them to refer to themselves as that without a bunch of other things that could also be the group name right afterwards. So we're the Vision, we're the Revolution, we're the what's the other? We're here to take power. There's another phrase. But anyway, like let's have merch. Let's talk about ourselves with a consistent group name. It's not a huge idea, but it's not a huge deal, but it's a small thing. Like if you have a name and you've settled on it, let's establish it and have other people, the announcers and other wrestlers, use that term and not make it feel like it's just sort of a casual, informal name for the group. Because I think it gives it a sense of permanence and formality if they do. So anyway, like I said, not a big deal, but I just noted when I saw the headline, they're actually the Vision dominate prior to a huge fatal 4-way is their headline right now.
Yeah. And I just feel like more triple threats and more 4-ways are coming. I just don't see it ending anytime soon. And I don't know why that makes a match better just because, and then you throw in the stupid 3-4-way, there's no disqualification. Anything can happen. And they just throw all this random stuff in there that you don't need. It's just, it's so, and then the one thing that drove me crazy, and I really enjoyed the tag team with Dom and El Grande Americano, I thought it was fun, but then to have Dom cheat to win, right? Dom's a heel right now. He's trying to get heat, right? And Michael Cole's like, no, he just outsmarted him. It's like, stop saying he outsmarted him. He is trying to get heat on this dude, and you're saying he outsmarted him. Like, why do they think that's okay to say that? It just, Wade, I know you're not along because you think the same stuff I do, but we're usually very lockstep in this
The whole
kind of thing.
The whole point of loading your mask and headbutting someone to cheat to win when it's outside the rules to get heel heat. And when the announcers are like, oh, that was resourceful and good strategy. I mean, you're extinguishing the whole point of doing it. Like it's not new school to have your announcers justify and in fact celebrate the tactics that historically, for good reason, there's been nothing that's changed about humanity. We don't admire people who cheat to win. I mean, that's just not part of culture. I mean, is it part? Yes, it's part of culture. It's not part of the story that WWE should be telling when it comes to the stories, the way that they, that pro wrestling tells stories, and that they're trying to tell stories in other ways. So, anyway, yeah.
There's nothing smart about putting a piece of metal in your mask that's opportunistic.
Mm-hmm.
That's obvious, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it was kind of the same thing, you know. And again, I'm enjoying WWE in certain respects, so I don't want to think I'm just bashing it, but there's reasons to be bashed. Like with Sami Zayn and Rusev, you know, you had the Sheamus backstage, which was pretty cool. Sami's like, man, let me deal with him, and then Sheamus is like, okay, after the match, I'm like, okay, but they swerved you because not Sheamus isn't going to do it, but the MFTs are going to do it. They're going to come in the middle of the match and ruin it. It's like, why do they think this is good? It's not good. It's ruining a good match, and you're just ruining it by having these guys interfere in the middle. And I just want them to be brave and have good booking and have fun stuff where we can enjoy it. And they just do a lot of that like you said, every week. And it takes you out of a lot of the matches because you can't, again, we explain it all the time. Can't invest in a match when they just are going to do this every time. Frustrating.
Yep.
Very frustrating.
With you. I'm with you.
And as to say, there was some really good stuff on this show, like the Bayley stuff you guys just talked about. I mean, there were some fun things. I only brought the Wyatt Six up in the chat because I knew they're on technically a different show, but we know they don't really care about that. They're going to put people on whatever show they want. So I just worried about when that music ended. I was like, oh no, don't tell me they're putting her with these people. I don't think that's a good idea. I hope that's not in the writer's room. I hope they're not thinking about it because that would just ruin it for me and I wouldn't even be invested. I would be out unless they told me just this crazy story and they invest me in every single character that's in it, which they didn't do with the Y6. I mean, is there any thought that is possible that they're thinking about that?
Chris, what do you think?
No, I don't. I'll tell you what I think is going to happen is I think that the graphics, this sort of like pulsating thing is going to turn into a sort of fractured glass, and we're going to get a pretty stereotypical and I think rooted in bad stereotypes about women and their identities fracturing and they have these breaks. That's where I think it's going to go. So, mark the date if you want to see if I'm prophetic or not. So I don't think it's supernatural. I think it's going to be hackneyed psychological. Yeah.
I was assigning decades to it. It kind of feels like a made-for-TV movie in the 1970s.
It's Lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah. Current Lifetime movies. But I think like in the 70s when they first started having like new special effects that were in the studio, they couldn't wait to use them. Right. It's like, if you go back to the early web days in the mid to late 90s, and you would do like flashing words, like you do the Flash HTML code. And then people are like, no, that's amateur hour. It's like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And that's kind of what some of this feels like. It was telling a good story on its own. But I'm not surprised. This is the way WWE does things. They do things over the top in ways that they do not need to. They don't think about the value of narrative. I'm surprised by it. I would have thought Levesque had a different philosophy. Fan Blast in the chat says Triple H booked NXT totally differently. Did he just never believe the style was big time, or has he just come to believe the larger audience needs bad finishes? And I would expand that to say, does he believe that having a realistic sports-like framework with strategic exceptions that are done for a clear purpose to enhance something, not detract from it, or say this is a separate world. And again, it's pro wrestling, and precedent doesn't mean it should be continued. Some people, well, look at this, and that was done, and that was done. Well, right, but I mean, we can be critical of something for 15 years. It doesn't mean it suddenly is okay, just because it's been something that we're critical of has been done for 15 years or counterproductive. So, yeah, I don't know.
Hey, wait. There's something in the chat. Can you take it away? It's a bad chat. It doesn't need to be there. It's ridiculous. It's just crazy. I wouldn't even look at it.
Is it the AEW one?
Yes, it's it's bad. I mean, it's just talking about you saying stuff. It's crazy.
No, well, if it's bad, don't read. I said AEW is code. You don't have to tell everyone it's bad. It's stuff people talk about in my podcast about the partisanship of people on who think anything critical of one brand is someone who's biased for the other. So, but that's fine. That wasn't too bad. I would have rather let it sit there and not draw attention to it. Now they get a little more attention than I wanted.
That's
Sean.
true. That's fair.
I would say if it's deeply personal about somebody, then that's something. But if someone's accused me of being on the take because I'm sitting here being critical of WWE and they're accusing me of, I don't even know. I didn't even read the whole tweet. I just took your word for it, Sean.
So
thanks for derailing the show.
No,
your heart was in the right place. I appreciate it.
I wanted to say one thing I liked. I will say a good thing I actually really liked was I actually enjoyed the Becky Maxine for what it was. I really liked it because Becky, of course, was like, "Oh, I'm going to put you in the match." That's fine. That makes sense. Becky's being a heel. She's being a jerk. That's what she's going to do. And I thought Maxine, for the little bit she got, the one kick was a little off, but I thought they told the story really well for the 3-4 minutes it was. It was really well done, really well executed. I enjoyed it a lot, actually.
I live in fear when like a Maxine Dupree wrestles, and I'm not like just staring at the screen the whole time, that I'm going to miss the botch spot that defines why everybody hates the match. But from what I saw, and I'm type of art stuff, so if I look away, if there was a really bad botch spot, I didn't see it. I actually thought it was fine. I mean, yeah. So and Becky is obviously a good opponent, but I mean it's kind of ambitious to go 5.5 minutes. Chris, what did you think of Maxine's performance?
I clocked only one really whiffed kick. And I thought, honestly, everything else looked really, really good. She's in there with Becky Lynch, but you could tell she gave it her all. She's been putting work in with Natalya, I know. She's been going up to the dungeon. It's showing in the way she's moving her body, the way she's having more ring awareness. No big botches, just a tiny one.
And good, if she's progressing, let her show it off.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And by the way, Ryan Solari says the missed dropkick, Becky dodged it, so it made sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was talking about one into her midsection when they were close in tight, not the missed dropkick.
Gotcha.
But that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Wade, I don't want to give this guy a plug, but can I give this guy a plug real quick?
You can email me and ask.
Okay.
No, what? I don't even. Are you facetious? You don't want to give him a plug, or?
I'm actually just joking. No, I'm actually gonna be on Johnny Fairplay's his wrestling
God,
podcast.
I have to edit this now. Johnny
Fairplay. I know. No, so if anybody's wrestling after show, if you get a chance, check it out. It'll be this week. Just give it a lot. It's cool when he even asked me to be on something like that. It's pretty cool. So I just wanted to give him props for that. Real quick,
he better have paid you to do that run-in on this show. He knows how I feel about him.
He knows exactly how you feel about it. No, I want to hear what you guys have thought about Roxanne in Judgment Day, kind of her ascend so far on the main roster, and just kind of where you think what they've been doing with her and what you've thought about it. Because I like her in Judgment Day. I think it's worth the more she's been in there. I think it's been a lot of fun. So I just want to hear what you guys have thought about her and where you think she might be going.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think of how she's being utilized?
I've enjoyed what I've seen. Opportunity struck, and I think she has been able to make the most of it, right? In filling in this absence of Liv Morgan. She's got the wrestling chops, right? She's got the skill set to have been able to fill the vacuum that I think presented itself to her. I would appreciate less screaming, the blood curdling scream that she does from time to time, and a little bit less of that. But I like her vibe. I think think the way she's almost just toughened up her character a little bit by hanging out with the Judgment Day people. It's been pretty cool to see.
Yeah. She is taking advantage of her opportunities. They gave her a big showcase tonight against a good worker, and they came through. I mean, the Naomi not being there gave her a chance to just fill 15 plus minutes of time. And yeah, she's good. Io's really good, and I mean there's Michael Cole going, oh goodness, so many things went wrong there for the finishing sequence. I thought was like really good commentary. Like, I like when it just feels like it's an exasperation of, oh goodness, so many things went wrong there. That was fun. I mean, part of it was the botch spot of the double knees up by Io, and then Perez lifting her knees and Sky landing with her knee on her chest. But
I thought they were brave to replay that in slow motion. They normally don't replay such critical, like, finisher errors, but they did. They owned it.
Yep. And I mean, stuff happens, and you just sort of own that stuff can happen.
And it still looked kind of cool.
Yeah. Sean, anything else before we let you go?
No, I think that's it. I'll get back in the chat and just chat away, guys. Go VIP. It's always fun being on here with you guys. Always enjoy it.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Yeah. For anyone who fast forwarded through the early part of the show where I kind of set the table, introduce things, we do have the Hulk Hogan series going on right now. We took a break for SummerSlam weekend from a streak of, I think, 9 days in a row doing them, and we put up the 10th episode in the Hulk Hogan series today, featuring part 1 of my interview, or more of a conversation with Guy Evans, the author of the very thick and now well broken in spine Nitro book from 7 years ago. He just came out with the sequel to that, and we talked for close to 3 hours about Hulk Hogan, specifically his Nitro years, because Hogan's career is so vast. I didn't want to do one show and be done with it, talking about trying to encapsulate everything. And so I've been looking forward to talking with Guy, and I reached out to him a while back, and after the news first broke of Hogan's death, and it took a little while for our schedules to match. And this, I'm really happy with it, and I want to have him back on too. But that is, part 1 is available, and it is free. Part 1's free for everybody. Just search PWTorch in your podcast app. You'll see the charcoal gray logo pop up that says PWTorch VIP. That's our free sample page for VIP shows. And you can also, within your iPhone, using your Apple account, using the native podcast app, you can unlock all the VIP shows if that's the way you want to go VIP. But anybody on any app can listen to that part 1 for free, and I recommend it. It's really, it's only 1/3 of the conversation, but it's a really good start. And then you can go VIP to hear the other 2 hours, the last 2/3 of it. PWTorch.com/GoVIP. That's PWTorch.com/GoVIP. You can sign up through Patreon, through Spotify, and get a 7-day free trial also to catch up on everything Hulk Hogan related in our Hogan series. And we will be posting the individual feed for the Hulk Hogan series for our full VIP members. If you get a full VIP membership, that unlocks all our archives. It also allows you to have customizable RSS feeds on your phone app, or listen to any shows on demand. But the customizable feeds are nice, and you can literally subscribe to the Hulk Hogan series, and you'll get all 10 parts and everything that's yet to come on just a separate feed on your phone from other VIP shows. So it's real customizable. We put a lot of effort into a real streamlined, customizable user experience for our VIP members that I think is top shelf out there. We just have a great programmer and webmaster who helped with that. So a great time to go VIP. Real good history lesson on Hogan hitting early 80s into Nitro. Greg Parks and I are going to do a show on his post-Nitro years. And also, Rich Van and I did a show on the scandal years, the last 10 years when all those revelations came out. We did a collectibles merchandising show and an Ask the Editor. So, and I did a long, I can't remember, about 45 minutes, give or take, of maybe longer, of media reviews, looking at what the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Atlantic, what major entities did to cover him, what they got right, what they got wrong, what they left out that I don't think they should have. And looked at some other media coverage too. So kind of a solo update for me doing a media critique, essentially, or a media overview of the magnitude of Hogan and how his death got covered. So that's the type of diversity and extra content you get as a VIP member. So we encourage you to support us, and you'll get a lot in return for your subscription membership fee. So again, for our YouTube people, the graphic is on the screen. Our audio listeners, pwtorch.com/govip. Chris, let's take this chance before we get to more conversation on Raw and also the mailbag. What can people do? How do you participate in other ways with the Torch besides these post shows if people haven't seen you or read you yet?
So I write the Hits and Misses column for Friday Night SmackDown. Usually has been coming out on Saturday afternoons lately. I've been able to change my schedule to make it a bit more current, which is awesome. You can also listen to me with Conscious Kurt Cadet. We have a podcast called Catching the Culture. And we need to sit down to record our next one where we talk about films and wrestling and current events. But the cool thing is we try to take a historic match or an event in wrestling history and tie it with a cultural event and pop culture to see how well, wrestling was in keeping in times with everything that was going on around it. We have a lot of fun, but Kurt is, he's an expert. He's brilliant. I love to sing his praises whenever I can. So yeah, listen to me, but most importantly, listen to Kurt Cadet.
Another reason to go VIP.
VIP.
All right. Let's jump to the mailbag and go to JB from Detroit, who says, I like Sammy, as do seemingly most people, but I do kind of feel a bit burned out on him at the moment. We're getting a lot of underdog angles when it feels like Sammy gets his share of unexpected wins. Is one really an underdog if they win a lot? I get why they do it in Canada, but they need to bring it in elsewhere, in my opinion. Sammy's a great performer, great wrestler in the ring, great promo, compelling character, definitely popular with the WWE audience. What do you think, though, of this storyline? We didn't bring it up yet on the show. I don't think we should read a ton into it, other than it wasn't one of the top two things we talked about on the show. Thanks to JB for helping us get to it. It was another non-finish tonight too with the Rusev Sammy match. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that business felt wasteful almost, that match, as a setup to these two beatdowns, right? A match that set up two angles that almost had nothing to do with each other. I didn't really find much compelling, in all of that. It was fine. The Sami Zayn business is interesting because they have apparently dropped the Sammy was right angle that he was going to force Karrion Kross to say, which would have built up or at least reinforced Sammy's sort of paragon of virtue business he's got going on. But where's that going? I'm not sure. So again, it feels kind of like Sammy's just kind of hanging out. I like him when he's on there. I don't look forward to him when he's not.
Do you have a concern if he goes heel or they position him in a way where he loses some of what makes him popular with fans? Like what I worry about decisions that are made when a wrestler and a booker get bored with what they've been doing with a wrestler and they think that's a reason to do some high art, like tease of a turn. I don't know. Like sometimes you just plug and play somebody.
Yeah.
Like let Sammy feud with Rusev and keep it basic. I don't know that you need him. I mean, the Karrion Kross thing was interesting. It feels like it, and I thought it ended sort of abruptly.
Right.
But it also, that was a conclusion, and then Kross and Scarlett Steels ran out, and they might not be back. They probably won't be back, I guess.
Yeah.
So now we're just moving on. So yeah, I'm not super excited about what they're doing with him right now, but that doesn't mean it's not just sort of a kind of a regrouping, I guess, and then things will kick up. I mean, I'm always interested in what Sammy does, but I don't. It feels like maybe they're just on a journey that's trying harder than they need to with somebody who's so appealing. But I was saying in defense of what they're doing versus my feelings this week on it, is I think it is part of a story arc, and I think it will pay off. And some weeks there'll just be sort of a lull where you guess, do they know what they're doing? In reality, they're just sort of, I don't know, stalling for time until they want to rev it up. So I'm hoping for a really good payoff. You know, a lot of people thinking it'll be a Rumble win or a Rumble near win that leads to some sort of big breakdown early next year. That's a long ways off and a long way to stretch this out, but maybe they can.
I think there can be ways to make his character even more compelling, a character we want to invest in with our heart and soul, a character that has something to teach us, to learn from, without turning heel, right? There's a way to make what is great about his character now feel that much more consequential to the programming. So I don't think a heel turn is the way to make Sammy more interesting. Just take what's interesting about him now and amplify that, right? Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. One thing about tonight's storyline that was sort of irritating is Adam Pearce said, let's talk on the other side of your match with Rusev about whether you get a world title shot, and we got a no contest. So you have the introduction, the framework, the setup telling you match outcomes matter because the GM just said, hey, not yet, but if you beat Rusev, it's an impressive performance. The implication is maybe you'll earn a title shot, and we don't get it. And in a world where WWE Unreal is a thing, it's not canon, but it's much closer to canon than anything like this has ever been compared to podcasts, documentaries, DVDs, internet radio shows, post-game press conferences. This feels a little bit more just the hype on Raw, even though they're careful about what they show. It feels like they've, just said. So I think you have to book differently. You have to book with the idea that a very large audience is watching you say how things are done. So now you almost have to counterbook those expectations or be careful. And so when they know you're booking no contest finishes, but you deliberately set it up with a match with stakes that could have to do with someone getting a world title who fans like, I think then it stings more when there's a no contest. Yeah.
But does it sting more because we as fans are feeling the emotion that the story wanted us to feel, or does it sting more because it's so much more unsatisfying?
Well, I think WWE would say, we want you to be frustrated with Sammy getting attacked. And so that's why we set it up. This took away a chance for Sammy to prove himself with the attack. But what we get is a meta reaction because of WWE Unreal, where now you're thinking about, because WWE has encouraged you to think about it. They have showed you granularly in real time how this stuff, how this is done and people out of character. So it's on your mind more because it does feel like it's attached to the main product now. It isn't as much shoulder content as as it should if it's kind of in a whole different realm. It's on the same network. It's recommended to you. If you watch Raw, Netflix goes, hey, you might like this, and they're promoting it. So I just think there's you have to book with the idea in mind that people are going to kind of hold it. A segment of the audience has been holding it against promoters and bookers a long time when there's a cheap finish. People got mad at Dusty Rhodes' booking in the late 80s. People, there's a group that was sort of, so to speak, smart to it, but this takes it to a new level. So I think and part of it's just the sheer percentage of matches ending with it, and that exacerbates it where it might not be a criticism. There's so many things you can justify individually, but when you see how often you're doing it, it's like a ref bump. I would almost never do a ref bump as a booker. I just think it's played out and overdone. But if you're don't do 4 on one show. Do 1 every 6 months and really make it count and have it be novel, because otherwise it starts feeling like a trapdoor cop-out finish. And people will think about it in those ways. Yeah.
Wasn't it WrestleMania 40 that had 3 ref bumps in it in the main event, Cody Roman match? And you're thinking, how in the heck did you arrive at this conclusion?
Yeah. What are the odds?
Yeah. What are the odds? How'd you get there?
Yes. All right, back to JB. Is Sheamus versus Rusev leading to a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match? That seems to oftentimes be the blowout for Sheamus feuds, and this feud has been ultra physical. Maybe. It's fine. Yeah. I didn't want Rusev to just settle into the Cesaro spot, but that's kind of where he is.
Okay, so one of my notes tonight was about Rusev in particular. Can you be anything other than enhancement talent if you never really get to speak? He's had 1 or 2 vignettes since his return, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's had his thing about the abyss and all that, but that's it. That's really all we've gotten. What's the end game with Rusev? Is it anything other than a kind of just a Hulk that they probably had to pay less than Braun Strowman? Yeah. I'm sorry, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would like him to be treated in a more traditional way and not be in, it's like Cody had the Cody verse. He has his verse.
Yeah.
I would rather they didn't do that. They did in AEW and they're doing it here. So, I mean, it's a bummer, right? I haven't inquired. I don't know why. Maybe he'll break out of it and this is just a warm-up act.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as a criticism of Rusev. I've been intrigued. I actually dug the Abyss promo. That's language that really popped me. But nothing since then.
And you have to be cognizant of not sounding too much like Alistair / Malachi Black, and you don't want to sound too much like the gimmick that went nowhere in AEW because now you're sending a signal. Yeah, we don't have any new ideas, and we're just letting the guy do his thing because we don't care. We got more important things to worry about. There's a sort of a meta resignation when you just see nothing, no aspirations, nothing new, and a word salad promo style that, again, individually it might be intriguing, but it's just sort of part of a pattern where you're taught if you watch both products and watch them for years, it doesn't really go anywhere. And he can't, they're not going to do the foreign menace thing. So now we're stuck with whatever this is. But I don't know. I mean, to me, his push is consistent with he's a good hand mid-card guy who isn't a serious person, and we're not going to pretend we can get him to come across as one, or we're scared to invest in him. So we're not. I don't know. That's the signals that as I view it, it's kind of I'm thinking. Yeah. All right. I wish back to JB. I almost wish they would have gone with Io against Raquel tonight rather than Io versus Roxanne. Io and Roxanne's being roughly the same size really takes away the heel appeal of Roxanne in a one-off title match. I don't know about. I mean, Roxanne is a heel, but she's never going to be the bigger wrestler. The idea is it's sort of the Shawn Michaels Diesel thing, the pairing up the bigger wrestler with the smaller wrestler. I thought JB was going is I wish they would have saved Io Roxanne for when it really got to build and meant something. That's too good of a match to just give away as just a time filler, essentially. Chris, your thoughts?
And one of my hits and misses on SmackDown, which you can read on the website, I talked about how the benefit of having wrestlers who are roughly the same size is you can play with physics and gravity differently that you can't do when you have such tall people with small ones. So, it's a trade-off. It's apples and oranges. The matches to me would have been different and tasty for very different reasons. So I preferred what we got tonight were two people who could swing and throw around and have an air of fluidity, although it was bumpy. It seems it was patched together versus Io bouncing around a confounded looking Raquel Rodriguez for
Yeah. All right. Back to GB. Next point. If they are turning Asuka heel, then I don't think having her get physical with Dom tonight was the smartest move. I don't know if that's turning her heel. It just feels. I mean, it's part of Levesque's booking. It's just like, well, even good guys are petulant and temperamental, and bicker. I think there's too much of that. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of it because one, I don't think it's the best way to produce pro wrestling storytelling, but two, I'm suspicious that the motivation is I want to change the business and move it forward away from the staid good guy versus bad guy, the Vince McMahon speech about before the kicking in the Attitude Era. Like it's like I just feel like it's Levesque in search of an identity to his booking in an era that he's being talked into as a good idea, and it's different. It's being different to try to make your mark in a way that I think is just fundamentally as silly as deciding a restaurant should have all the tables turned upside down when customers come in, and you have to flip them upside. You have to flip them over before you eat at them because no one's done that before. So let's make people. Yeah, you're an artist, and people appreciate their meals more if they have to flip the tables over before, and then the chairs. Two of them work, but two of them don't, and you won't find out till you kind of test. Like, no, we just want to get in there and sit on a clean table and a comfortable chair and eat our food. Like, we don't need our baby faces. It's a silly analogy, but whatever. The point is, don't complicate something that is just structurally, fundamentally basic and needed, make it interesting in other ways, which is having a fresh and again, and even fresh is overrated in the sense that if people are coming and going all the time, like in terms of viewers, and you're away from it for a while and you come back, or like this generation of wrestlers are going to be, for a lot of people, the first generation that a lot of fans ever see. And for fans who've been watching for a long time, it's a fresh spin on things they've seen with different people in those new roles. And I don't know. I just let the wrestlers and their charisma be the story, not the booker meddling with the formula of let's make sure that every babyface is having a bickering, arguing session with another babyface so we can do a triple threat or a four-way match. I'm not against it here and there. It's too much all at once. That gets to me right now, Chris.
Well, if you looking at it from both an artistic standpoint and sort of in just a purely like pop entertainment aspect, no good artist believes they are creating a new art form when they are creating a new art form. They are creating new tools out of necessity to paint its new vision, right? And I think Triple H thinks he's creating a new art form here, and I'm still contending that with Unreal, that he thinks he's creating a new kind of kayfabe when in reality we all see through it, right? And so what it is it's anti-art, right? It is it's paint by numbers in that sense. If he loves Motor Breath so much, he's really Nickelback. You know what I mean? And that's what it is when you're trying to book that way.
Or he's trying to be Vince McMahon and he's more Vince Russo.
Oh, that's even worse. Ooh, and that one works even better. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, if it shames him into not doing this nonsense. I mean,
if he listens to this and yeah, go ahead. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He can email me if he wants to.
I think I'm surprised, given that my favorite booking in wrestling in a long time was the NXT TakeOver era, and Triple H was at the forefront of that. I am surprised at how much he seems to be straying away from it for reasons that feel like he's chasing something that doesn't need to be chased. Like I'm he's still relatively new. I'm still trying to figure it out, but all the non-finishes, all the lack of just a logic structure and rules of engagement for how the show is presented, just trying to reinvent things and new art, trying to create new art for the sake of making your mark in a way that I just think is fundamentally counterproductive. And it's I don't know. Anyway, points I made before. Let's go to JB again. I understand the in-ring wrestling ability isn't everything with the way WWE tells stories, but with the depth of the women's talent in NXT on the main and on the main roster for that matter, I find it hard to justify Maxine receiving as many bigger underdog opportunities. I don't think that anyone actually believes she's going to win, and she hasn't shown much improvement at all in ring. I just think it's time the time she's received could be more economically used elsewhere. So I'll disagree a little bit on this in the sense that I think they're deep when it comes to top tier talent. So if you call up someone else who's going to be a top tier name you think is good enough to be that, you are going to either have to do two things: displace someone else who's high on the women's roster right now, or debut them in a lower spot than you ultimately want them to be in. Yeah. So Maxine is a low card comedy figure, and she plays that part convincingly. I mean, there's a kind of a earnest ditziness, for lack of better terms, coming to mind about her that is endearing. You don't expect her to win. You just want to see her show up Becky by putting up a good fight and embarrassing her a little bit before she loses. So if she was getting a top tier push, or they clearly weren't giving enough TV time to the top women wrestlers, I'd have an issue with it. But I don't only want top tier women to get TV time. I want there to be a range of people in different tiers, so to speak, of the roster on the women's side getting TV time. And she is, and she's hardly overexposed. This is just a storytelling device mostly for Becky, and Maxine is just a conduit to tell the story about Becky being a bad sport and a bully, which is going to lead to Natalya, which then leads to whatever. So I disagree with that. Chris, what do you think of what JB said, and what do you think of my response?
30 seconds into the match, I had something of a thought like he's articulating of, is this the person who I would be giving TV time to?
Mhm.
And then as I watched how much she's performed and how it's clear that she wants to learn the craft and is surrounding herself with the people who can teach her the craft of professional wrestling. You don't go hang out with Natalia at the dungeon if you don't want to learn pro wrestling.
Mhm.
So Maxine Dupree has shown that she's willing to do what's necessary to be there. So for that sense, she's earned her right to be there. It's only up from there for her, and I think we've seen that. Contrast this match with her against Rhea Ripley, what, a year and a half ago, maybe. I mean, worlds of difference. So I disagree there, and I think my initial internal impulse that I had even was wrong. So I think you're right. She's not displacing anybody by being there. She's serving a purpose. Yeah, I'm totally cool with her.
Yeah. And finally, he says, is Rhea needing to get her big win over Io a story that can be extended to WrestleMania next year? As always, love the show and everyone go VIP. Thanks, JB. Yeah, you can extend it. I mean, they can both get sidetracked with other things for sure. And I don't think they should talk about it every week between now and then, but rev it up again when the time comes. I don't think she needs to get a win anytime soon. I'm assuming there's something in mind that they have something in mind for the pace of this.
Is this Golden Lovers 2.0 to you? This sort of there've been a couple things lately between them, interactions that have felt more than adversarial coded.
So, like elaborate.
I'm hesitant to say, given the current climate. Yeah,
well, you don't have to. I mean,
I've got I've got no problem saying there have been interactions lately that have seemed very gay coded between the two on screen. It's been kind of cool to see, and that's why I'm like, is this we're getting some of that energy at play that we've seen with Kenny and Kota Ibushi. Yeah.
Do you have a example of that? I haven't noticed that, but maybe it was a fleeting. I noticed it, but I didn't make much of it, or I didn't know. Yeah, is there something?
I noticed
specific?
in particular last week they had a very long, very close proximity interaction of faces and longing looks, in particular with Io Sky's eyes. Now I could be totally reading into it, but it felt different to me.
Yeah.
And it felt like they were gesturing towards something, But I could be way.
Well, I'll keep my eyes open and we'll revisit.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah. Be cool if they did.
We have a wonderful super chat from Four Eyes Malone. Thank you, Four Eyes. Super chat's always welcome. 50-50 booking is lame. No finish booking is worse. Too many stars exposed with media and daily shows. Sadly, a Roman type is refreshing. We need jobbers. Yeah, with the even Steven 50-50 booking formula, Vince McMahon has now been replaced with DQs, no contests, just every. And then there was the distractions, the stretch of all the finishes being distraction. They're trying way too hard to protect people from losing, as if wins and losses are this death knell for anybody, and they're not if everybody's doing it. Like if almost everybody is losing. It's the NFL 17-game season. It's rare somebody goes 17-0. Most often, even really good teams who win the Super Bowls are losing 3-4 games during the year. It's not that big of a deal. You don't have to have someone with a losing record, but my God, you got to protect the integrity of an advertised match where people invest in the moves. So I don't know. I mean, I can't. I don't have it in me to repeat my rant this week about it. It just seems so self-evidently a counterproductive move that is going to add up to consequences that won't be super attributable. You can't verify it's attributed to what they're doing, but I do think there's going to be people who are less apt to go to these TV tapings knowing they're going to see a main event without a finish.
Yeah. So to not belabor points that I've made earlier, there's something that, as you're talking right now, that made me call back to something you said months ago. You said in this world, professional wrestling, these contests are not about destroying your opponent. It's about being able to put their shoulders on the mat for 3 seconds or get them to submit by and large, unless it's a strange rules match. So losing does not mean you are weak. It just means you got caught.
Yep.
Right. You got caught up and you couldn't get out of it. You got bound up that night. So it's not like losing a wrestling match reduces you to a weakling. It just means you just lost that night. Yeah. So having confidence in the foundation of the storytelling is what's going to give us the ability to invest in it and the permission to do so. Yeah.
Yep. Couple other chat comments, and then Chris, think if there's anything else you want to bring up before we sign off. Danny Tuchito says, one thing I wonder about is how they book Sammy. Is his typical match is so safe, and they're not worried about him getting injured, and so they have the luxury of heating him up at any moment. Sadler Version 3 says, Sheamus storylines all feel the same, just large, never-ending brawls with another strong-style wrestler. They did with Drew, Gunther, Kaiser, Rusev, Cesaro. Pretty sure there's more I'm missing. Yeah. Another comment I wanted to pull up here. Danny Tuchito says, I was going to bring this up last week because it was glaring, but the three AEW returnees, Andrade, Black, and Rusev, get zero reaction. I wonder if it's booking or if they're just fundamentally blah or bland, excuse me. And a couple comments on Roxanne. Danny Tuchito also says, Roxanne has sold me as a fan when I noticed she does the old school pull down on the ropes before the opening lockup thing. Love that. Good notice. Goodfellow 1422 says, feels like Roxanne is a star on the rise and handled all the tasks appointed so far. A few bumps, but she's killing it. And Ryan Solorio says, yeah, Roxanne and Judgment Day has been great. Sadler Version 3 says, I've said it a while ago, Triple H books more like Vince the longer he's been running the main roster. It's easier, parentheses, lazy, to rerun matches and non-finishes and just rely on viral moments over stories. And I do want to ring that bell almost every show. Like, watch WWE with the idea being that most of what they're doing with big stars is to create viral moments at the expense of solid, fundamental storytelling in the most logical, believable, immersive execution of segments. Whether it's adding a little too much special effects, that was the Georgia Stadium thing with Roman and Cody. It was overproduced, overdone. And you have Seth Rollins, dropping the crutches at a very a point that disadvantaged him because the element of surprise went away because Punk could see it from afar and he got to wait for Seth to come to the ring. He could have dropped the crutches when he got to ringside and it would have been, or after he's in the ring. And he didn't because it visually wouldn't have been that, whoa, look at this vision. This will look great when 13 billion people flip past it on TikTok and don't give it another thought afterwards. That's more important than a logical storyline. So, yeah, I want them to, I want fans to notice that, and I want WWE to know fans are noticing it. And I just think it'll make for a better product for fans if they stop doing that, or actually consciously go, wait, are we getting pulled into the pointless stuff in the Monday Night Wars, the quarter hour ratings? Oh, we got to worry about this commercial placement and this and this, and they lost sight of just making sure that the foundation isn't crumbling underneath them because they're so worried about peeling wallpaper or something. I don't know. So
well, focusing on not what has made this entire beautiful tapestry of pro wrestling successful for this long, which is human stories we can sink our teeth into. We may even believe ourselves that we want the moments, but that's not what sustains investment, right? Character building, long actual development of people and things, right? So it's not, like you said, ringing the bell about moments. It's not going to play out. It's actually going to be a self-inflicted wound. I think we're going to see that play out.
I'm not a fan of the word inevitable being used for downturns in a boom period, because I think they're self-generated. I mean, is it inevitable in the sense that promoters always self-destruct? I think that's a misuse of the word inevitable. It's predictable. It's likely, but inevitable bakes in the notion that even if no bad decisions were made and a lot of good decisions were made and the bookers and promoters and wrestlers learned from history, it still would have happened anyway. So why bother? It's like they'd have, why wear my seatbelt? I'm going to die someday anyway.
Right.
It's like, well,
why bother try hard to be good at something?
Yeah. Yep. Someone will be better. So
Well, to this point, right? And I've seen people in the chat, right? And I've seen it on the internet. Well, they'll say you're being too critical of this thing, right? Just sit back and enjoy it. Well, that's great if we were never asked to give our money to it. Once you ask me to give you my labor, which is all dollars are, is spending power from your work, right? Like I'm giving you my time. I should feel I should be able to expect that you're going to give me your best. And it does not feel like they are giving the people their best because they've
and
realized they can make more money when they don't.
and I would say if it's free and you want my time, and I think you're doing something that history shows you should know better than to do. I mean, especially if you want my money, anybody who puts themselves in front of a camera on a stage, a raised ring, a stage, whatever, you're asking for our attention. And I'm sorry, you're going to, the idea of sit back and enjoy it. I like, you brought it up, but like, I never bring it up because I find it so beneath time to spend on it. Cause I find that so self-evidently just sort of a ridiculous stance to take. Like in there's every era of wrestling I've covered, there's people who have said that, and they're enablers of a bad product that has led to wrestling companies going out of business or having empty buildings. Like you are the enemy of the promoter you think you're defending when you tell people who are making good points that, or earnest points or subjective points that they think would make it better. Like, just being mean-spirited, but when you're critiquing something with clearly the goal being this will make the product better for the fans, sitting back and enjoying it is you don't want a fireman to say that to a fire,
right?
I
think what you're saying is right. Like it should be beneath our criticism. However, Paul Levesque has said something similar in the lead up to WrestleMania 40. Enjoy the ride. And that's effectively saying, just go where we take you. And no, that is so incredibly demeaning to me because what that says to me is that person only views me as someone to boost their stature. I'm usable.
Yeah.
And like, we all kind of know it, but you don't have to be so flagrantly obvious with it, right? Mm-hmm. And then expect that we're going to stick around like Nick Khan does in this whole, they'll move to the more expensive price point with ESPN. Well, that's bad faith, Reed, if you're a consumer base, I think. So those are my 2 cents on it. 3 cents, because I took a little longer.
Fair enough. What, by the way, it's a super chat, so I'll bring it up. I don't know what to say about it. Bourne's Legacy says, it's been too long since we had Wade rant on Punk hair. I didn't know I ranted on his hair.
I mentioned his hair.
Okay.
I did. I said it looked a little haggard.
Yeah.
And I got no hair, so it's not like I got room to stand on. But
yeah.
It wasn't you. It was me.
Yeah. Well, maybe he wants me to do one, but I don't know. I don't know that. I probably said something about Punk's hair, probably, but I don't recall, and I don't feel like it's. It didn't jump out to me either way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can take a look. Maybe I'll be like, I wish I would have led with that if
it looked dry and brittle. I'll talk about it from a stylist perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what? Anything else from the show, Chris?
Did you notice that they clearly removed the "We Want Cross" signage that was popping up all throughout the night? About halfway through the show, it never appeared again in anybody's hands, which I found, telling.
Say that again.
So there were about 3 or 4 people that I saw holding signs that said "We Want Cross" or what have you.
Oh, gotcha.
But about the halfway point of the show and on, those signs never reappeared. So it seems to me that they were told that confiscated.
Huh. Interesting.
It was visibly and visually telling.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little surprised with how much time they gave him but I mean, WWE has a history of not rewarding people who get themselves over online with shoulder content, self-generated storylines. I mean, Zack Ryder didn't. I mean, they just basically go, you can do whatever you want, but we're pushing you based on what you need. And yeah.
Well, is it part of the ethos of WWE that you should not be able to become a star without us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you do, then you got to go.
And yeah, it's like we're pushing you at the level you deserve because we know what you deserve. So if you go and try to generate interest, it kind of annoys us. You're taking attention away from things that we think will draw money by drawing attention to yourself, and they punish you. It's crazy, but I do think whether they articulate that in their own brain or not, I think they get irritated by people who go into business for themselves, get over more than their push because it gets in the way of the level that everybody's at, and they don't want fan signs. They don't want people wanting more. Our truth, there's more, more to it in terms of negotiations and what he thought of himself and what he wanted. And then the reaction, okay, we'll bring him back because we don't want to take heat for this, but we're not going to really push him in any genuine way and whatever. So, it's like, we'll give Truth what he wants, but he's going to come out of this worse than if you just shut up about it. That's kind of how it comes across.
Yeah, that really is what it's feeling like lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the dude cut his hair and there's been nary a mention of that. That's wild.
Yep. Oh, and they just kept calling him our truth. More often than graphics, our truth. So,
and then this business of you back, I'm back, right? Yeah.
Yep. Sadler Version 3 said that Heyman went on Errol Helwani's show and explained what happened with the finish better than they did on TV, which wouldn't shock me that Paul Heyman do a better job in a freeform podcast than they did on TV. But a couple things to close things out here. Sadler Version 3 says, if Seth walked that long ramp with crutches, wouldn't that have telegraphed the shock moment? I'm amazed that people are in Sadler. I'm sorry, but I'm amazed that people still don't get the fundamental flaw in the storyline. And it's so telling. It's so emblematic of WWE booking culture and story presentation. There's no value in Seth Rollins shocking fans. That should not be anything he cares about. Any more than an NFL player should care about shocking fans by running the wrong way down the field. That'd be shocking. Or showing up on the sidelines wearing if an NFL player wearing an NBA outfit to the ringside, that'd be, or to the sidelines, that'd be shocking if he showed up dressed like the New York Knicks instead of the New York Jets. But there's no motivation to do that. That's just why do we bake in and accept that would be Seth Rollins' goal, to shock fans? There's no value in the Seth Rollins character shocking fans. He wants to be world champion and he wants to keep CM Punk from being champion. So his goal wasn't to extend he wasn't trying to avoid telegraphing the shock moment. His goal should have been give Punk a false sense of security in a way that gives him an advantage. And that is the missing element to this, is what did Seth gain from revealing he wasn't really hurt 50 yards down up on the stage? So yes, he should have made his way to ringside on crutches or been wheeled to the ring on a wheelchair or golf cart, or whatever. Play it up. Yes, fans knew when they would see it coming, but you want the story to make sense. So if Seth rolled into the ring and Heyman slid him his crutches and Seth struggled to get up, and then he walked over to Punk and he says, Punk, I got hurt. I'd take you out right now if I could. You're down on the mat. You're out. Gunther destroyed you. I can't do it. And Punk, stands up and just goes, Seth, I don't have time for you. Waves his hand in his face and turns his back because Punk believes Seth is hurt. Because if he wasn't, why would he do that? And then at that moment, Seth quickly, not in a grandiose way that makes for a good TikTok clip or a viral clip, drops the crutches and boom, just attacks Punk from behind, stomps him, gets a pin. Now Seth got an advantage. That wasn't about shocking fans. Who gives a flying about shocking fans if you're trying to win a title or take a title away from your sworn enemy? So stop the framework that there's merit in, that there's anything to be gained by a wrestler shocking fans. That's Russo-esque nonsense that destroyed WCW in its fragile end stage. And I'm shocked that there is continued rationalization of it. And so Sadler elaborated. He said, Heyman said that Seth made sure that Punk would never win the title as long as he's in WWE. But after Seth won Money in the Bank, Punk always attacked him and made it hard for Seth to do anything. So Seth faked the injury to be out of sight, out of mind. And Punk would not be able to attack him anymore. Then he saw the perfect opportunity to cash in on Punk since he was busy with his own match. I mean, this is your summary, Sadler, but it does nothing for me. Seth can be out of sight, out of mind in many ways without taking a BFT and getting pinned in a match. That demeans the notion that losses are devastating. So what advantage did Seth gain that was predicated on him taking a finishing move that's supposed to be devastating and voluntarily losing a match? What advantage did that give over Heyman showing up on TV and going, Seth has gone on a sabbatical to meditate because he's having visions. He can be gone that way. Or Heyman can say Seth injured himself at the gym and show a fake hospital picture of him getting wheeled into a hospital in a wheelchair. People can say, well, he could fake it. Well, sure. But he wouldn't have to do a job then, and he can go away for a while. And the fact is the storyline fell apart because people didn't believe that it was a legit injury because they never showed the hospital footage. And again, in the end, Punk needed to be more vulnerable because of the fake injury than he would have been if Seth sprinted. If Seth had not faked an injury and just minded his own business for a few weeks, when Punk was battered by Gunther and down on the mat, Seth could have sprinted to the ring and took advantage of it quicker. Mm-hmm. Seth hurt his chances to beat Punk because he decided to parade out there with his arms out, make a big production of being on crutches, and then dropped him from 50 yards away before going to the ring. The whole charade hurt Seth's chances to do what he wanted, which is to stop Punk from being champion. And anything beyond that I've heard so far is completely missing the point, or a word salad that Paul Heyman is conjuring up to try to save something that probably deep down he knows made no sense. Sadler Vision 3 adds, if I were Punk, I'd think, obviously this guy's not hurt, or else why would he walk down the ramp in crutches? What other reason would he have to walk to Punk in crutches? Okay, so then he shouldn't be on crutches to begin with, and he can just sprint to the ring and beat him up. Well, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, well, my take on why they went with the whole angle at all was because it came out, a week after WWE Unreal? And I said this, and I'm going to keep saying this. I think they are intentional. They released a documentary in which they told us we were learning the truth. They titled it Unreal, right? That's very on the nose. And then they did an extraordinarily conniving angle with the top superstar in which they had his own wife lie and post videos on social media to purposefully work the fans. So they both worked us and unworked us, or unworked us and worked us back again. And so my take is that the injury angle was partly corrective and moment making as a way of confusing us again. So we really don't know what we can believe or not. But the problem is it reduces trust in the product. We already know it's not real. You don't need to lie to us even more, right?
Yeah, and the goal is to tell good. The goal is to tell good stories that pull us into the stories you're telling, not fool us in a way that completely breaks from any storyline logic. Like every booking decision, every storyline should go through the filter of, does it make sense? And if wrestling were real, that this character would do this. And it has to pass that test. Otherwise, there's other motivations, which is you're being a big mark for trying to fool people. And you're taking your eye off what really matters, which is drawing money and pulling fans into the stories you tell. And this idea that fooling fans is the ultimate achievement in pro wrestling has greatly damaged previous wrestling companies. And it's so weird that bookers and wrestlers are like bored with telling great stories about a simulated fight sport, and their goal is to trick people. And I'm up against the clock here very much so. But Sadler says, I mean, if Seth walked down the ramp in crutches, wouldn't Punk expect to cash in at that point? Well, in kayfabe, no, because he's injured. And the story was no one was skeptical that that Seth was injured. And if Seth is struggling to get in the ring and he's not seizing an opportunity to attack Punk at that moment because he thinks it's better to attack him from behind than the front, he can say, if I'll get you, don't forget me. This doesn't expire for a year, and tell that story, and he didn't. Anyways, I got to run.
Yep.
Up Against the Clock. Chris, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And everybody, don't go sign up for VIP.
Go
PWTorch.com/go VIP. That Hogan series is definitely worth checking out. PWTorch.com/go VIP. Thanks, everybody.